Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Saturday, December 16th, 2023. Day before, what is it, week 15 we're in now?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in week 15. Yeah, that's cool. All right, and we're just recording a little bit before the Lions and Broncos game on this Saturday, which I'm kind of looking forward to as a game. What do you think, Dad?
Well, the Broncos have been very hot lately. They were rough to watch last season. They were rough to watch earlier this season. But, Detroit, they've been on their downward projection here for weeks now, probably a month. They've lost some ugly games, and, they're still in the wild card chase and division chase for their division because the Vikings lost today as well. Yeah. So
it's funny. They're kind of similar to us, aren't they? A little bit ugly.
Yeah.
A couple ugly games kind of on a downward trend.
They slipped in the banana peel a little bit earlier than we did, but they haven't looked as good for a while.
Yeah.
We haven't looked good for a little while.
For sure. Yeah, I was bummed. I missed the Vikings-Bengals game earlier because I was at work. And then I watched some of the Colts and Steelers game with you, which was kind of, it was okay for the first half. But I am kind of looking forward to tonight's game. I think I'll put it on the side TV a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. We like to talk about the Broncos here since we're located near Denver and everything like that. I got a lot of Broncos fans that watch, so cheering for them. I do want the Lions to kind of keep their division, but in the end, it doesn't really matter until all that matters is our team. I'm tired of talking about these other teams and we want them to do this and we want them to do this, but you know what? I just want the Eagles to freaking win.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Today we'll be talking about a little pregame preview of the Eagles-Seahawks game coming up on Monday, some injury report. We're going to try to focus on some positives later on. We've had a hard time discussing that, but we'll get to that point, and then some other news and other sports. But as always, I want to give a plug to the club. We are a part of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. So if you live in the area, we'd love for you to go join that if you're an Eagles fan. You can come on down and watch any game with us at Frankie's on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs. We're there for every single Eagles game, and we'd love to see new faces. You were talking about it last week, kind of, man. We always see new faces. Every week there's at least 2, 4, 5 new people, and you're like, man, if the people who came that were new stayed the next week, we'd be at 200 people right now.
We'd be in the parking lot. And, it's crazy that there is. And it's so funny. I know we played a lot of these off-time games, night games, Monday night games. Like this game we're talking about now has been flexed from Sunday. Yeah. It was still going to be a late game. So we're still
in the afternoon,
afternoon game, not the
2:30, 4:30
traditional 11 o'clock morning game here that we so love and revere so much because then we have something to do the rest of the day. But so this game's been flexed to Monday night, which is I think the first flex.
Yeah, so it was the first ever Monday night flex, which is kind of cool. It made sense. I think they took the Chiefs and Patriots out of it, which kind of makes sense because you can kind of see
the Patriots are going to blow the Chiefs out. So
yeah.
Hey, man, the way the Chiefs have been playing, I wish they were playing this poorly in that big game we played them in February.
Yeah, I know, right?
Goodness gracious. They look awful.
But, as always, we watch every game at Frankie's. We hope to see some new faces there as well as some old faces. Come around, say hi to us. We'll come say hi to you. And hopefully this is a game where we can go around high-fiving people because we didn't really get to do that the last few weeks. That's usually where I have the most fun is running around the bar, high-fiving. We haven't been able to do that last few weeks, so let's hope we can do that.
Last week's game was just the Carter touchdown on the fumble.
Yeah, even
that's about it, man. And that was kind of a slow high five.
The game was kind of still felt like it was over at that point.
It sure did. Yes, it did.
But let's go ahead and jump into it. The Eagles and Seahawks, like we mentioned, they're going to be playing Monday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, 6:15 here in Colorado Springs time. Weather Daddy, what you got on the weather?
Weather Daddy. Okay, so what we got this week is it's going to be a very good chance of rainstorms, another 40s or so. Temperature, I didn't see much on the wind, but it looks like the rain is going to start at night. So by the time we start the game there, which would be a 5:15 start in the
back in the west,
maybe not. No, they're same time zone as we are now, right?
Okay,
right, we're the same as Pacific.
I'm not good at time zones.
I think so. But anyway, it's going to be. They say rain at night, 40-degree. Hopefully, impossible heavy rain, of course. So you know what? That's what we've been playing all season. Hopefully, it gives us the edge. Hopefully, we can get going and run the ball, making sure get some balls in the air. And it's not like we're strangers to the weather games so far this year.
Yeah, I kind of prefer a bad weather game because it feels like the good weather games have not been very good. Those bad weather games, I feel like we've kind of thrived in them, and that's when we've been able to get turnovers because aside from that, we can't get turnovers at all. Going into the all-time series record against the Seahawks, they do lead it 12-7 in the playoffs. That's one of them. They are 1-0 in the playoffs, of course, being the notable loss in, I believe, 2019. Horrible playoff game where we lost Wentz in the first quarter. Got a concussion on a dirty hit. Notice how we didn't whine and complain about that for the next whole season. But that's okay.
It was never brought up by the announcers either. So
media didn't mention it.
It didn't even happen. But it was still our problem. We had an old 40-year-old quarterback, Josh McCown, who came in. The game was fairly close, I guess you'd say. We were inside the 10 or 12.
Several times.
Could have drove and scored if we had somebody, maybe a quarterback we have talked about who used to play for the 49ers. But we were too obstinate to get the stupid guy on our team.
Yeah.
So we were running a 40-year-old quarterback out there, which was just – and we even had – remember what was the guy's name that we had a couple of years?
Oh, Nate Sudfeld.
Nate Sudfeld.
He didn't play.
He was on the practice squad, on the team for years.
I don't think
he's a young guy. Yeah, we have a young guy on the team.
Yeah.
Let's not use the quarterback that we've been training for 2 years. Yeah, grooming for years. Let's just throw in a 40-year-old quarterback. But anyway, that game was long over right away.
Yeah, like I always talk about backup quarterbacks, and I'm always finding out there's guys still in the league. And I'm like, why is he still in the league? And that's like the Mitchell Trubisky who's playing today. And you're like,
yes.
Can't believe he's still in the league. Like, have we not learned? Jameis Winston, have we not learned?
Right.
We haven't seen. We haven't learned.
Right.
And
then seen enough of this player.
You could go back to the talking about in 2019, Colin Kaepernick was still on the outside of the league, and
right.
I know there's a lot of controversy to it, and everything.
Still in his early 30s at the time.
But at the time, I would have much rather had him on the team than Josh McCown,
who was coaching high school football 2 weeks before. Remember when they brought him?
I know.
Let's not get into it.
But that's the 2019 game that it's frustrating us because we had that amazing magical run at the end of the season.
Right.
With Christmas time, we were at Disneyland when we beat Dallas. Just a great last ending of the season.
Win 4 straight.
Yeah, and we did just like this year.
It was great.
It was a great end of the season that year, and then it just got kind of stolen.
So that's the thing, that was a year that we really weren't that good.
No.
And then we needed 4 wins to get into playoffs, and at the time our goal was to just get into playoffs.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit different now. We're not that team. We're a team that's kind of had a little more success, and that's the thing. We'll be watching football now. Team 7-7. Well, at least we could be 7-7. I mean,
yeah,
we're not, so that's good.
Here's the bummer part of it. In the last 25 years, the Seahawks lead 10-3 against us. So what does that mean? At one point, it was 5-4. It's 10-3. It's 12-7 total. The last 25 years, it's been 10-3. So we used to lead at 5-2.
Right.
And now they lead it 12-7. So they've gone 10-3 in the last 25 years. I believe 6-0. 7-0? I'm sorry. They're in a 7-0 run. Are they
okay. Oh, yeah. I think it's 7-0.
They're on a 7-0 run.
Yeah, it's bad.
So they've won 7 consecutive against us, which is not what you like to see going into this matchup because this is just kind of again, here we are. Biggest game of the season. It sucks that we have to keep on doing this, but we're kind of at that point now where every game has to be a huge game. It's just a bummer.
Yeah, we can't thank any other team in the NFL for helping us out. Sometimes you get some help from some of the other teams, but it's been weak this year. Same as last year, if you remember. Every week, and hey, can we sit some guys? Nope, it's not the way it's going to be. We're going to have to play hard every single week. So
last year, it felt like we had the number 1 seed locked up all season. We had it all season,
right?
And then last game of the season, we had to still play our starters.
Sure,
it's just a bummer how it had to happen 2 years ago.
This year, we want to play every week we can, like you said last week.
Oh, I know.
It's like we're still in preseason here, the way we've been playing the last 2 months. I mean, one time it's a great play, and then there's just nothing, and you just bang your head against the wall. It's just crazy.
Dad, good.
So anyway, if we want to transition to my favorite Seattle Eagle moment, which there isn't many because we know we didn't really play them that often, and if anyone who follows this channel or follows the NFL knows that Seattle, when they first came into the league in 1976, they were an AFC team.
Yeah,
and then they got transitioned to the NFC. I don't know how many years ago, but not that many years ago. So anyway, we played them in 2008. We still had McNabb on the team. It was November 2nd in 2008. The Eagles beat Seattle. I believe the last time we beat them, 26-7.
Oh, nice.
We played it. It was at the Vet, which was a really no, it wouldn't. It'd be at the Link. Yeah. So anyway, McNabb was playing. Seattle had a backup quarterback, Seneca Wallace, because Matt Hasselbeck was injured that week. So there's a little funny thing in that game where Seattle. I think their first play from the scrimmage, They were at the 10-yard line, and Seneca Wallace threw a 90-yard touchdown pass. And then they went on straight to have 11 straight punts. So they had some success really early in the game, and then, of course, we ended up winning 26-7. In that game, Todd Hermans, who was a lineman, had a touchdown on a what do you call it, tackle eligible.
Yeah, he was he was lined up at the tight end as a tackle. That's cool.
The good thing to make you happy was Brent Selleck was 6 for 131 in that game. He had some huge plays in that game. We did have DJ at the time, Deshaun Jackson. He only had 2 catches for 20 yards. And Kevin Curtis was our big receiver with 6 receptions for 83 yards. Kevin Curtis, 2 years, I think, on the team. Back in the late 2000s, we had that great run in the early 2000s where we went to the 4 NFC Championship games. And in 2008, we also went to the playoffs that year. And we ended up going pretty far, and we went to the Arizona Cardinals, and they trashed us in that game.
You went to that game?
I was at the game, yes, but Akers, it's so funny because I was watching some highlights, right, to catch up. And then it showed the Giants game after that when we played them in the playoffs. Vikings first. Of course, we always beat the Vikings in the playoffs. Not funny.
Yeah.
So we always beat the Vikings in the playoffs. Anyway, we beat them in the playoffs. Then we went to New York, and we won one of those funny games where the score was like 23-11 or something. And but they were beating us that whole game. So anyway, then we went to the Cardinals, and during the game against the Giants, Akers had 4 field goals. And they were all like 51, which back in those days,
not like
a 40-yarder was not guaranteed. And he hit like 2 big field goals, and the weather was cold. It was New York. Anyway, the next week against the Cardinals, we probably should have won the game, but he missed 3 field goals. 2 extra points, something like that. I didn't do any research on that because that wasn't my game. But anyway, Seattle, we beat them 26-7. Let's see, the only other stat I had from that game, because I like throwing some stuff out there, McNabb had 349 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and, of course, the 1 interception. So we also had Reggie Brown on the team back then.
Oh,
so
yes, yeah.
I didn't get his stats either. But anyway, that's my pick for the week.
Yeah, so I have no favorite Eagles-Seahawks memory. Kind of impossible for me. We have not beat them since
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
I was 10.
Yeah. Might have been 11, but I'm wrong.
I know what you mean.
I think it's 2000.
So I don't really have a memory. I'm trying to think of a game, like at least a play that happened, but I really can't think of anything. It's such a bummer. I feel like they just had our number for a while. This is kind of why I hated Russell Wilson for so long, was because he just manhandled us all the time.
Well, the thing about him back in those games, and we've played him, I think for the last time we played him was 2021, maybe 22. Anyway, I could tell you many games where, and this is what Russell Wilson did, we would have 3 guys around him going to sack him, and he would move, and then he'd throw a touchdown pass. I do remember in one of the games, yes.
Yeah. I could say
a halfback option, they threw it to a wide open.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Russell Wilson, yes.
Well, what I was going to say, yes, of course.
Yes.
I remember. Yeah, Russell Wilson had a touchdown against
I hate those.
I think that was 2016 2017. We lost them on route to our Super Bowl victory that year.
Okay.
That was the one. So Aguilar.
Wait, say that again. 2017 was the
en route to our Super Bowl.
Oh, we won the Super Bowl. That's right. Everyone seems to forget that we won a Super Bowl.
This century,
5 years ago. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, we had a great touchdown to Nelson Aguilar, Carson Wentz. Amazing touchdown to Nelson Aguilar. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
He had 2 great throws in that game. Yeah. But one to Nelly down the side, it was like a 50-yard bomb. And then like a few plays later, a 30-yard touchdown to the left, and Aguilar was wide open. But we lost that game, so I can't even really mention it. I mean, I mentioned it, but it's not really.
When you're a really fan of a team and there's this great highlight reel that they roll out there, if the Eagles didn't win that game, that highlight to me is not a highlight.
Well, it's like when I see
it's a low light.
It's when I see an A.J. Brown touchdown or a Devontae Smith touchdown from last year's Super Bowl. I'm like, cool.
I don't want to see those highlights.
That's great. Congratulations. That's awesome.
I mean, it goes back to all the plays, and we talk about it all the time, but I'll let you go on.
There's not many Eagles fans like us, Dad, who just hate everything. Every great moment of our history.
But, if you're going to show a highlight, don't give me one where I can turn to you and say, oh, yeah. So after that game, we lost the next 3 games, and then we got in the playoffs, and we won the first playoff game, but we lost the second playoff game. It's okay. It's over.
I know the big one for you is the Deshaun Jackson.
That's what I'm talking about.
Home return touchdown in the greatest comeback ever.
Yeah.
We did not win a game the rest of the season.
We lost to a backup quarterback against the Seahawks, I believe, in the game that got snowed out, and they ended up playing on Tuesday.
Yeah,
too much history. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we like history. We like history of the team. It's not always fun, but we like it. Dad, what's your matchup of this game?
So the matchup of this game is going to be the defensive line again. I don't know how many times I can say it.
True.
But we're going to need pressure. If Geno plays and he has a groin injury, we know that we can bottle him up because he's a scrambler. He'll get outside and throw the ball. If we can get to him, and please, 4 or 5 sacks, please. Not one on the first play of the game and then none the rest of the game. That's my thing. I don't want to go off to it too much, but hopefully with the few weeks we've had here where it's been bad, maybe from some stunts, maybe a blitz. Remember when Morrow blitzed that one game? He had 3 sacks.
And he only has 3 sacks on the season.
And he only has 3 blitz on the season. I mean, just do something.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be. I don't want to get too much into it, but yes, my lineup is going to be the defensive line. Hopefully, Nolan Smith, the man I've picked several times to be my player of the game, gets some more time. He only had last week? He had a little more snaps, maybe 22.
He had 21. That's good.
21. He's been hitting 11, and hopefully he can get in there and make some plays. But that's my thing. If we have to get to these quarterbacks that we haven't been getting to, and we got to get home.
Yeah. Yeah, mine is similar to yours. I'm not going to go whole defensive line, but I'm going to say my matchup of the game is anybody versus Jason Peters whenever he's on the field. Jason Peters, obviously, historic left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hall of Fame.
Probably the greatest left tackle in Eagles history besides Trey Thomas, or alongside Trey Thomas, I should say. One of the best left tackles really ever. Probably the greatest or top 5 greatest undrafted players in NFL history. I'd have to say definitely. I can't even say probably. One of the greatest, definitely the greatest undrafted player ever, probably. But he's 41 years old. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. He's had a lot of problems. He's old now, and you got to go at him.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of games. I've watched some Seattle games here and there. We watched one last week. He gets beat. He's older now, and you just gotta beat him when he's on the field. He doesn't play the whole game. It's kind of funny the way they rotate the right tackle position, but when he's out there, you gotta beat him. We need to get pressure on his side when he's out there. We have to, like you said, we gotta pressure Geno. And I mean, it's a bummer because we've been saying this for 5-6 weeks in a row. Yeah. That's the name of the game.
It hasn't worked.
We got pressure.
It doesn't happen.
And it's just. Maybe we should stop talking about it, but
is it me? Am I the jinx? Maybe I'm the jinx. I know, that's another thing as an Eagles fan, a lot of the teams, they don't really have the superstitions that we have, but we definitely have superstitions.
Oh, yeah.
And I know early on I was picking players every week, and they were non-existent. So you told me, hey, why don't you pick the other team's defensive line? And I said, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't ask you now, but do you have an Eagle you're most looking forward to?
I do, and it goes to the offense. I'm looking for Goddard again. I just, I'm picking somebody who, I've picked Swift several times, and that hasn't happened. So I don't want to jinx him this week. But I think Goddard's back. He played last week. He looked good last week. We need him this week to be that guy to pull some of the other guys away from the coverage that's going to be downfield. And hopefully we can get maybe OZ or some of the other players to make some catches, maybe get Quez going, because I don't know what's happening, but for some reason AJ and Devontae just have not seemed to be getting open. They're either getting doubled or they're just being the coverage is just designed right.
I don't understand it.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. I have nobody. I'm not looking forward to anything this week. I'm stressed as hell. I'm not excited. I'm very stressed. It all comes down to this game, and we're going to talk about injuries in a second. But as you know, Darius Slay's not playing. I didn't even think he was having that great of a season beforehand. I have listened to some other things, read some stuff about him actually having a pretty good season, which scares me even more now.
So is that PFF or is that some other?
PFF. Yeah.
They're saying he's been covering well, which
they're saying he's almost as good as last season.
You mentioned it to me. Now we're listening to Dave and Ruben. You mentioned it to me that no, Dad, he's playing great, and I kind of looked at you and you went, well, his numbers,
it's weird.
His 7% and whatever it is.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing on our defense.
I think if you were going to ask me cold right now, I would tell you he has been subpar. And I even mentioned to you if he is not signed through the next season, it's time to look elsewhere. And you said we got him for 2 more seasons. So then I said he's great.
It's a bummer because we have him and Bradbury for the next 2 seasons, and not including this one. We have 3 seasons on him. This one, the next 2.
Well, we're going to find out this week if any of those guys that we've drafted the last couple seasons or haven't drafted but pulled in are going to be any good, because we're going to need them this week to cover DK and whoever else they got there.
Which is what I was going to talk about next, the bummer part of this weekend and what I'm most scared about. Obviously, we said Slay's not playing. Bradbury's not been having a good season. Bradley Roby has been absolutely a waste of our time. Kevin Byard has almost been just obsolete. Blankenship's been good, but he's actually been hurt a lot. Injuries with his ribs, his arm, and then a concussion now. It's just a bummer.
Was he back this week?
He is back this week, yeah. But just a bummer. Now we're going to be trotting out either Josh Jobe, Eli Ricks, or Keely Ringo. It looks like Keely Ringo, but they haven't made an official statement. One of those 3 is going to be out there playing against DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, at times Jackson Smith and Jigba. These guys, I mean, these are three first round caliber players.
Well, we saw what they did the week prior against the Cowboys. They almost won that game. But that's why I say Geno's got to go down. He's got to go down 5 or 7 times. We got to sack him. We got to pressure the living daylights out of him. Hopefully, with a little bit of the rest that we've had, we have the extra day of rest. Hopefully, although some players are out now, hopefully that's going to help invigorate the guys, make them move a little bit faster, get them going. But whatever it is, the vanilla defense that we've been doing out there on the defensive lines, it's just got to change. They got to do some blitz. They got to do some safety blitz. Do something. If I see that and they complete the pass, I won't complain about it.
And let me talk to you about this, Dad. Last week, after the podcast, we kind of talked about it, and I was like, "Oh man, we should have said that." And we talked about all these acquisitions we've made during the season. We brought in Morrow again. We brought in Cunningham kind of before the season.
Right.
We brought in Byard. We traded for him. We brought in Roby, and then. Am I missing anyone there? I think that's about
Shaq Leonard.
Oh, Shaq Leonard. There we go. So, but just it's a bummer because if you could see the future, if you could look into the future. I know it's dumb to say this, but because ifs are fun. But if you look into the future, it's just a bummer because if I had known, Kevin Byard was going to be this bad, or if I had known Morrow was going to be this rough, or Bradley Roby was just going to be this bad, it's just a bummer. Like. We could have been playing these guys. Sidney Brown could have been starting at safety in his spot, in Byard's spot. Eli Ricks and Josh Jobe and Keely Ringo, just let them rotate the slot. Yeah. Just let them play. Obviously Avonte Maddox got hurt. You can't really do anything about that. He's an injury-prone player, but it's just like, man, it's too bad we brought in Roby. It was a waste of our time. We should have just let Ricks and all these guys just play. If the other guy who's we brought in to be great, or we brought in to at least be better, isn't any better, then what was the point?
Yeah.
It just sucks because I wish Sidney Brown was playing this whole season getting beat instead of Byard, or I wish Ricks and Jobe and Ringo were playing this whole season instead of Roby. It's just bad.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to say, we've been getting a lot of comments, a lot more comments, thankfully for that. But in some of the early videos, you had 4 or 5 comments. Now we're getting 30, 40, 150. The comments have been coming in great, and it's not just you and I that are seeing that. A lot of the comments I'm getting in from our team and some fans of the other teams are saying the same thing. Your defensive backs, not necessarily trash, but your defensive backs are really weak. And it's one of the responses I made was that, we're not blind to that. We know that. We're fans of the team, but at the same time, we'll call it out when we see it. And that's one of the things that really kind of upset us this season was, we went into it and we got this guy and we got this guy. And I'm going, well, we really still didn't really address the defensive back situation that we've been lacking in now. When Maddox went down, that hurt us big time. But, and Slay, he was great last year. He was great. And so was Bradbury. He was great. But, when you start hitting 30, 31, 32, that's the downside of these guys. And you got to know that. Like, you and I know that. And we're not guys running football teams. So you kind of go, why didn't we address that in the draft? Why didn't we address that, not a 7th or 8th round pick, 6th or 7th round pick, but a 3rd or 2nd round pick.
4th, 5th, 3rd.
We've done it. We did some with Ringo, but then he didn't play for the first 2 months, 3 months. Now he's running out there. What was he out there last week at the Cowboys game? I think he had pass interference on his one play. No.
Yeah, he played.
He had 2 penalties on one play. So probably not a great omen, but at the same time, a little bit ticky-tack, a little bit weak, some of these calls that they're making with these pass interference. But that's besides the point. He got out there and got some playing time, but
22 snaps.
That's pretty good.
I'm happy about that.
But we need more of that, and we should have done it earlier in the season. Now that we're here and say, now we're running these guys out who, well, I think part of the conversation we had too as well was, why are we bringing these guys in off other teams if we've got this practice squad that we've been developing for a year or two?
Yeah.
let these guys play. If not, you're bringing in guys at the same level.
It's just like
I'd rather a 22-year-old than a 28-year-old.
Yeah. It's just like the McCown situation back in 2019. Right. Why are we bringing in Josh McCown, who's 40 years old, when we've had Nate Sudfeld sitting in the wing in the practice squad, learning the offense, the same offense for the last 3 years? Right. He'll be better just because of that. I just don't understand. And another player, Morrow, who's just been really rough the last few weeks. Man, I'd rather Christian Ellis be out there getting beat just so he can learn.
Right.
If you've been in the league since 2017 and you're still not
making the same mistakes,
you're still making the same mistakes, then when is it going to end?
Okay.
Christian Ellis is in his second year, third year. Like, he's got time to learn, but now he's on another freaking team. Like, it's very frustrating.
And then you're afraid you're going to see his name. Oh, he just had a pick six, and you go, what?
Oh, yep, there you go.
Well, it's kind of like some of the guys, Rasul Douglas. I could go on some of the other players that we got rid of who were semi-trash when they played with us, and then they go somewhere else and they flourish.
Yeah.
I mean, is it coaching? Is it the situation? Was this guy a slot guy and you're putting him over here? Or, I don't know. That's where it gets out of our hands. But, I mean, we know what we see. We know what we're watching. And it's been abysmal the last few weeks trying to watch these guys cover people.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and jump into the Seahawks team stats. So as an offense, overall in total yards, they're 21st, passing with 342.2. Passing yards, they are 15th with 232.9. Rushing yards, pretty low on the list. They are 28th with only 92 rushing yards a game. I know that because I have one of their running backs in fantasy, and I felt that pain.
Who is it?
Kenneth Walker.
Right.
He did get hurt, of course, a few weeks ago, but he is back. And then they also have Charbonnet, who's pretty good third down running back.
Yeah.
Points-wise, they're 17th with 21.5 a game. And third down percentage-wise, they're low. So this is a good time to right the ship on defense. Offensively, third down, they're 27th with 33.3% of the time they get the first down. Now, on defense, not that great either. Total yards, they're 28th with 386.2. You can move the ball on these guys.
Yeah.
25th in passing yards, they allow 243.6. 23rd in rushing yards, they allow 123.4 per game.
Run the ball, baby.
That's right. In points, they're 26th, allow 24.5. And third down percentage, a little bit above us, they're 30th at 45.8. On our defense, we are, of course, 32nd right now. I don't even want to look at the number. Yeah. But,
we have played 4 really good teams in the last 4 weeks, so...
Yeah. I don't care. It wasn't like it was good before that. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, as a third down team on defense, we have been horrible this year. Like it is, we're last in the league. I shouldn't say horrible.
Right.
We're the worst.
Yeah. Like, you can't get any better.
It's not. You can't get any worse. Like it's not even. You can't even say, oh yeah, they're bad. No. They are the worst. We are the worst third down team in the league.
Yes.
Like you can say that. It's unfortunate, but you can say that. We're also 28th in points. Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm scared. It's funny because we talk about the schedule, and I know everyone's talking about the gauntlet, the 6-game schedule, the 7-8, whatever you want to call it, whatever number of games it is, you consider hard, whatever. It's a bummer because, when you got this schedule, I have it right here. When you looked at this and you saw this stretch, you're like, okay, and the Seahawks to cap it off. Okay, and you're like, the Seahawks, that's my least of my worries. But now it's like we don't have Slay playing.
Right.
Our defense is not the same as it was beginning of the season. We thought we had a better defense before and early season. Now it's like, dude, with these 3 wide receivers, this is the more scared I am.
Well, nobody could run on us in the first 8-9 games. Yeah. And then that's been proven wrong.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Niners, the Cowboys, they ran all at will.
Well, heck, I think Josh McCown had 150 yards rushing. Josh McCown. I'm sorry, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, but he had, what do you have, 65 yards rushing?
60 or 70.
I mean,
80 maybe.
And there's usually sacks that should be happening, and they're getting away from you. So, it's been rough.
Yeah, and then
we need to fix that.
Not a great schedule coming up in the NFL this week, if I might say so.
You mean tomorrow's games?
I'm sorry, yes, tomorrow's games.
Okay.
Oh, Broncos and Lions just started, but tomorrow there's not a lot of great matchups. The best game is probably the Cowboys-Bills, and I can't watch that. You know me, I can't watch that. Going over into the injury report, got some brutal injuries coming up again. We're missing Zach Cunningham with his knee. He's going to be out. Jalen Hurts was on the did not participate. He will be playing. It was for an illness. Cam Jurgens, he will not be playing with a pectoral injury. Darius Slay, he, of course, now out. Looks like he'll be out for maybe a few weeks.
That is knee scoped.
They do have hope that he'll be back before the end of the regular season. I say no. I say just don't rush him back. You can't do that.
So now, did he hurt it in the game, or has it been bothering him all season?
I think it's been a few weeks that this has been happening. Yeah, he's been on the injury report a few weeks in a row with an injury stuff. A limited participant, did not participate, full participant. Off and on and stuff like that.
So he did something.
Finally came to light. Josh Sweat, he didn't participate, but he will be playing. He just missed a personal reason. And then Blankenship was a full participant for his concussion, so he'll be back. The Seahawks, they have a astronomical injury report.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, good thing for them, they don't have any outs, officially named out. They have 4 questionables in Devin Witherspoon, who's their great corner.
Right.
Geno Smith, their quarterback, of course. Wide receiver, Dwayne Eskridge, I believe he's their 4th or 5th option. Okay. And then Jamal Adams, their safety, and Nick Bellore, their linebacker.
I thought I read that Jamal might not play because
he's questionable.
Yeah. Maybe I was looking at an older one where it said he just didn't look, like he was going to make it back.
Dude, he has declined immensely.
So let's hope he plays then.
He was a player that was fun to watch early in his career.
Oh, no, he was amazing. Yes.
My gosh, has he just declined. It's very sad to see.
How old is he? That's the thing. With the DB, that's what happens. Richard Sherman was out of the league pretty quick. He went from good to not good.
Well, he lasted – he's only 28. This Jamal Adams.
Yeah, that's pretty early, man.
Yeah. Well, that's the big note I talked about with my brother-in-law the other day, Jeremy. We were talking on the phone, and I talked about cornerback, and that's, Bradbury and Slay. We were talking about that and the decline, and we talked about Josh Norman. Was that his name? Josh Norman.
Yeah.
On the Panthers.
He was amazing.
He was the best corner in the league for a full season. He was the best corner in the world. And 2 years later, it was like, who?
Yeah.
Where is he at? Oh, he's on Washington. Oh, wait, he's on the Buffalo, Tennessee. The cornerback position, it sadly is the quickest delay.
I still think we should have got Mika Fitzpatrick back when he was available.
I remember that.
Because, my goodness, he's still playing.
Yeah.
And he's good.
But the cornerback position and the safety position too, but the cornerback position more than anything, it's such a grueling position. It's just the fastest decay. You only got 7-8 years, and
if that.
And that's lucky. Slay, he's been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
He's had he's one of the lucky ones that he keeps on going. But man, there are guys that you got a good 7, 8, maybe 9, maybe. It's a bummer. That's a position.
Like you said, it's one of those. You're off the cliff. You're there, and then you're not there.
Yeah,
and I think it's hard because I know most of them know that. It's kind of like not all the wide receivers, but a lot of the wide receivers. It's the same situation where you're going, whatever happened to that guy? Boy, he was so good. And then you tell me, he only had 5 catches last year. You're like, oh my goodness, what happened to him?
Yeah,
so what happens? It's part of the aging process, but.
Next, we wanted to jump over to another category. Another segment we wanted to try to do, just because we've been going through a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of problems these last 2 weeks. We wanted to do a positive section. Now, here's the problem. The other night we were on the phone and we talked about some positives and, we should talk about this. But the problem was then today happened with where I was at work and I found out Slay was out. And I just I got over to his house here today and I'm just like, I got nothing, man. It's a bummer, man. I just don't really have any positives. I have one that I'll touch on, but it kind of turns into a negative.
I'll let you go first.
Number one, my only positive. Young players are playing. We've got to see Sidney Brown a little bit more. Nolan Smith got 21 snaps last week, finally, up from his normal 11. Sidney Brown, he played 58 snaps. Some of the other young guys, including Keely Ringo, 22 snaps. Eli Rick, he's been playing all season, but he got 18 snaps. Marlon Tuipulotu, 18 snaps. So good news is, and the nice thing to see, these guys, these young guys, they're getting playing time.
Right.
Now, the negative side of this that I have to say is why didn't we do this earlier?
Right.
Okay, earlier in the season when we were playing Tampa Bay and we were kind of destroying them, why don't you let Sidney Brown play then?
Sneak one of the guys in.
Why don't you let Ricks and Keely Ringo play then? Keely Ringo, he played 1 snap all season before last week.
Right.
Now he might be our starting corner this week.
Right.
There's always a time to throw a guy in earlier. And I know this season, we haven't had the
luxury
blowouts.
Right.
We haven't had the biggest luxury. But the Tampa Bay game, I feel like we could have snuck some guys in. The Rams game, we could have snuck some guys in. Right. I know we lost the Jets game, so I don't want to talk too much about that one. But we probably could have snuck some guys in. It's just a bummer that they're playing now, and that's great. But we could have done this earlier.
Right.
This is not the good time now.
Well, I've been calling for that all season.
Absolutely.
When we first started this podcast in the beginning of the year, that was one of my big things every week was to say, well, hopefully this guy gets to play and let's bring him in, let's get him going. It's worked in some. I mean, Sidney Brown has kind of developed into a pretty good player.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for that, couple fumble recoveries and a couple interceptions, but some tip passes or something. But it's really been hard because our turnovers have been so
just
down this year.
We had 6 interceptions this season.
Yeah.
Last year, Gardner Johnson had 6.
Yeah, by week 5. Week 8, something like that.
He must be coming back, actually. I know he's on Detroit, but...
really? Well, he got injured on them. So.
Yeah,
but anyway, okay, so...
Go ahead. What's a positive for you? Go ahead.
One of the positives, it's Christmas time.
Yay!
It's a week from Christmas. Coming up here in another couple of days.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, next Monday,
so
right?
I'm happy about that. I got my ears on. I got my decorations up, so that's kind of good.
Yeah.
The weather hasn't been too bad here. It's. I still love watching my games. I still love going to the games. It was hard this week. I didn't watch much of the national news stuff that I usually enjoy watching when we win a game or two. So I kind of avoided that, but we're still 10-3. We're still in the playoff picture, and we will continue to be in the playoff picture. But it would be nice for us to pull a victory out here this week, and hopefully get a team or two to fall down. And maybe, I bring this up all the time with the comment section where a lot of the fans have been ribbing us about, the cry Eagles cry and the whole thing. And I just say,
good one.
I just give my old man wisdom, and I just say, well, hopefully you guys don't peak too early, because I've seen that many, many times. So. Yeah. That's what happens in the NFL. You peak too early and you think you're, every single year, somebody's 4-0 and they're going on the national news. Oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. And I think to myself, we haven't even gotten into end of September yet.
Yeah.
So let's just quit writing that story, okay? It happens every year. But, I'm a positive guy. So, I'm looking for some positives this week. Hopefully we can get the offensive rolling and the defense going and getting home. Really want to see some sacks again. I know we had a couple last week, but nice sack fumble was always nice.
We'll have to find out this week who's going to the game on Christmas, because one of my negatives is that the Eagles play on Christmas. I don't really love football games on Christmas. On Thanksgiving, I'm a big fan of it, but with Christmas, it just doesn't feel like the right place. So we'll have to find out who's because we're going to go to the bar on Christmas. Probably.
Well, we kind of have to because we are, ambassadors to the place, and we love going there and meeting people. But, I think last year we had, Christmas Eve game?
Yes.
And that was a afternoon game?
Yeah, it was like a 2:30.
That was Sunday.
No, it was a Saturday.
Must have been Saturday, right.
Christmas was on a Sunday last year.
Yeah, so, we went last year, but my daughter had flown out, so that was awesome, and we had a great time. But didn't win, so we don't like to talk about that. But that was a great game. You got to admit it was a great game. So
Minshew played. I hate it.
It got watch Minshew tonight looked like amazing.
That was horrible.
But so that's my positives for me. The fact that we're in the holiday season, I love it. But the fact we're playing Christmas Day is just
not a fan.
It's not. If it was on a Sunday, it'd be different. But it's a Monday, so a lot of people, like you're saying, they don't get Tuesday off. So what?
Yeah, I work Tuesday. What am I supposed to do?
So the game is you get home at 7:00 at night. It's just rough.
In other news, let's just jump over to sport. A team I'm very happy with right now. The 76ers, they're 17-7. They are third in the East, I believe, and they are fourth in the entire NFL record-wise with all the breakdown of standings and everything. They're fourth in the NBA. Did I say NFL? Sorry.
Yeah,
fourth in the NBA. Great to see. Just refreshing to see the Sixers playing so well. They really got some good role players now. Batum, Oubre, Marcus Morris is playing really good. Covington. It's just Patrick Beverley is even playing really well. It's just really nice to see, refreshing to see, especially after I talked about all the Harden stuff that happened in the offseason. Just very happy with this team, 17-7, and they play the Hornets tonight. They're actually playing right now.
Oh wow!
Check that score actually right now.
Nice.
They're up against the Hornets, 78-49. Let's
78-49.
Let's mark it.
They could put me in.
I need to start playing some. Fantasy basketball.
Oh gosh!
I know.
Let's do fantasy charade or something.
Maxi's 5 from 8 from 3. Jeez.
Fantasy lacrosse, Baz. Goodness gracious.
Sixers are looking good. Just happy to see that. They're about to be 18-7 tonight. That's barring a big breakdown.
Yeah.
I'm just happy about it. The Flyers, 16-10-3 right now. They're playing tonight as well. Let me check the score there. But they're surprising everyone, and they're having a much better season than expected. They're winning 1-0 against the Red Wings right now, only in the second period. I bet Steve's watching that game.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be watching a Sixers game. But the Flyers, They played here in Denver, or not here, but up in Denver.
Right.
Played the Colorado Avalanche a few days ago. I think it was the 8th, December 8th. So
Saturday.
Not a few days ago. It was quite a while ago, actually. Yes, but we were going to try to go to that game. We couldn't go. Oh, it was December 9th. We couldn't go to that game. It's a bummer we didn't because they won 5-2, and that would have been really cool.
That was the day I didn't get home from the airport till 2 o'clock on Saturday. Right? On the 9th.
No, yeah, the 9th. Yeah, that's true.
So we couldn't have gone.
I mean, we should have stayed up in Denver. We would have met you there. No.
Should have got the airline to give me some tickets.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah.
Good luck.
Too bad we didn't go to that. They won 5-2. That would have been a cool game to be around Avalanche fans, kind of cheering, even though we don't really. We're not big hockey fans, but I follow it. I look at their scores and everything, but I'm not a hockey fan really. I think I talked about it last time. Obviously, Penn State's going to be playing Ole Miss in the bowl games in the bowl series. Playing the Peach Bowl on December 30th. We got a little
that's still ways.
But other than that, nothing really else to talk about. Other Philadelphia sports or anything.
They'll start the bowl games before Christmas, I believe.
Yeah, no, they start December 27th. They start.
Okay.
Well, at least the big
whole week.
Games.
Yeah, but
smaller ones,
I mean, that whole week you can watch a day game or whatever.
Yes,
which is fun.
Yeah. You got anything else to say?
I do have two things. The first thing is maybe just one thing. Oh no, one thing was I wanted to shout out to Oscar. Oscar came to the game last week. He had jumped on the site that we messaged about. Said he was coming with his family. I went over and talked to him for a little bit during the game, so it was kind of hard because I'm like, hey, I got to get back in my seat. But welcome, Oscar, and your family. Thanks for coming out to the game. It was great. I'm glad I got to talk to you for a few minutes. I have a cold question. I like asking these to you. So, playoff seeding's coming up in the next couple month, and I know you have kind of an issue with the way they seed the games, where a team that can win their division at 8 and 9 get a home game, and then another team could be 14 and 3 and be on the road in the first round. Now, I know baseball does the same thing this year. It worked out that way as well. But what are your thoughts on that? I know
a lot of the NFL and a lot of fans have talked about this, so it's not like a hot take or anything like that. But it's become more apparent to me the last few years. It is kind of weird that Tampa Bay, or the Falcons, but the NFC South. Is that the right?
Yeah.
NFC South is going to be won by a pretty bad team this year, whether it be Tampa Bay.
Record.
Yes. Yeah. Whether it be Tampa Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, whatever.
Right.
And it's weird that at 9 and 8 they win their division, and then they get a home game against let's say we win out and say Dallas is the 5th seed. Right. Dallas would be, 13. If they won out and we won out, they're going to be 14 and 3.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they'd be playing the team on the road
in Tampa Bay or in Atlanta. It's just weird. Or say it's us and we're 13 and 4, and we got to go to Tampa Bay. Like it is weird. Now I believe every team that wins a division should go to the playoffs.
Oh, definitely.
If you win your division,
definitely. If you're 7-3 and 12, and you're the best team in your division,
you must be represented in the playoffs. A division has to be represented in the playoffs. Yes. But I feel like they need to change around the seeding to wins and losses, wins and losses, ties, whatever. I think every division has to have a team. So 4 teams obviously, would go in as division winners, but then the seeding should be fixed around.
Right. And then you have any ideas on that? Comments and let us know. Again, it's just something we're throwing around, but at the same time, when you look at it, and it's not like, obviously we all play for home field advantage. And the thing about the NFL is it's not like you're not playing any of these other teams. If you just played in your division, it'd be different. But, we all play each other in all over the place. Yeah. And usually the schedules are fairly comparable. You have a tougher schedule than the other team. But I think at the same time, for a team that's 13 and 4 playing on the road, of course, they're probably going to beat that team anyway.
Oh, no, I know. It's true.
And it's I understand, but like the owners obviously want that home game so that they can get the money. But
of course.
Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll kick it around.
It's just weird because nowadays, to me, it's like the 5th seed is better than the 2nd seed. Like, not really, but kind of. Like,
could be.
Because say the 4th seed is the winner of the worst division.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, the 7th seed, they could be a really good team in a division that was really good. You know what I mean? So it's almost like the 5th seed is better than the 2nd seed because the 2nd seed's got to play a really good team who maybe just had a late start to the season, didn't really have it at the beginning, and now they're a hot team and they're the 7th seed. It's like
last year the Giants made the playoffs, so you had 3 teams in the East.
Oh yeah,
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's just, and I don't know the AFC wild card that well. I don't know the AFC picture
about
that well.
6 and 7, half of them.
Yeah.
Same in the NFC.
It's just weird to think like, the Dolphins play the Colts, the Chiefs would play the Bengals, the Jaguars would play the Browns. And it's like, man, I'd rather be the Browns than the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'd rather be the 5th seed than the 2 seed because the Colts are kind of getting hot, whereas the Jaguars are on a downward trend.
Big time.
It's just kind of funny how that works. I'd rather be a 5th seed than a 2 seed. Not always, of course, but sort of. If Detroit's got to play the Vikings, that's a 3rd seed and a 6th seed. I'd rather be the 5th seed than the 3rd seed. Because I'd rather play the Buccaneers than the Vikings. Right. You know what I mean? Right. It's just kind of funny how it is. Like it's almost like the 5th seed's better than the 2nd seed.
Yeah, but in the NFL, it's always just getting a playoff.
You want your home. You always want a home field advantage, of course. You always want the home game, but yeah. All right, well, other than that, we'll just say our goodbyes here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe below. If you have any comments or anything like that, please shoot us a message or a question or something you want us to answer maybe on here or just answer in the comments, whatever. You can email us questions or comments at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, my name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.